One of the most dramatic mysteries in Butte's storied history unfolded in 1917, beginning in April with the U.S. entry into World War I, and followed by Butte's speculator fire June 8, 1917, where 168 miners died. Known as the Gibraltar of Unionism, Butte was at once racked in pain and torn by labor unrest and a series of strikes calling for better safety and salary conditions. By 1917, the Anaconda Company was a global player. In responding to the country's need for copper, it was crushing organized labor. It was into this arena that on July 18, 1917, Frank Little arrived in Butte. A member and board executive of the IWW, a radical labor union known as the Wobblies, Little was recognized throughout western states for agitating, recruiting, and evangelizing laborers. An advocate of freedom of speech and an anti-war activist, Little was hated and feared by business owners. He came to Butte to help copper miners organize and to lead a miners' strike against the corporations that owned Butte. In the early morning of August 1, 1917, masked men broke into the boarding house where Little was staying. They beat him, bundled him into a car, and sped away. Later, he was tied to the car's rear bumper and dragged over Granite Street blocks, taken to a bridge at the end of town, and hanged from a railroad trestle. The facts of his death are clear. He was murdered. Yet his death remains a mystery because no one was ever apprehended or prosecuted. Despite the obvious and well-known answer, the question who hung Little is still posed in popular jargon. So while his death is neglected and shrouded in mystery, Frank Little's short life in Butte stood for things that most of us would support: anti-war, free speech, workers' rights. He took on a giant corporation and the U.S. government. Tragically, his life was lost, and sadly, Butte's history affords him little recognition. Frank Little evokes the fighting spirit of Butte, and yet there are no statues or streets named for him, no festivals to honor him, not even a mention of him at Butte's World Museum of Mining. And yet, if you so desire, on the anniversary of his death, you might come upon a faithful cadre of followers who believe the words engraved on his headstone: slain by the capitalist interests for inspiring his fellow man.
Comes a long Cadillac, 6 men in black, drug Frank Little from his bed. He had spoken for the strikers, now they came to take his life, came to kill the Wobbly man. The shift boss laughed, wiped the blood from his bat, said that should stop his commie talk. Come on, boys, you'll all be paid double for this night of bloody trouble. Say goodbye, Mr. Wobbly man. They drug him for a mile. Pinkerton man smiled, said string him from that trestle, do it now. Left him twisting in the night air with a sign that said beware, beware of the Wobbly man. "6,000 miners came to lay Frank in his grave, to prove he did not die in vain. A hero for the street, they could not defeat, could not kill the Wobbly man. 12,000 miners came to lay Frank in his grave, to prove he could not die in vain. a martyr for the street. They could not defeat, could not kill the one-eyed half-breed Wobbly man. Comes a long Cadillac, 6 men in black, drug Frank Little from his room. He had spoken for the strike, now they came to take his life, came to kill the Wobbly man.